Hello there, and welcome to Everyday Expat. My name is Kimberly, and I am an expat living in Portugal from the United States. And today I wanted to talk about the imperial system versus the metric system. In the United States, we use the imperial system, and here in Portugal and most other countries, actually, the metric system is used. The reason I bring this up, so just a little background about the metric system first. So the metric system was invented in 1789, and the French invented the metric system. So we have them to thank for the invention of the metric system. The United States did try to adopt the metric system in 1975 under President Gerald Ford. So it did not take, for whatever reason, it was not successful and successfully implemented, I should say. There are actually, what I found, there are only 3 countries in the world that use the imperial system, and that is the United States, Liberia, and Myanmar. So those 3 countries use the imperial system. So the imperial system is based on pounds, ounces, inches, miles, whereas the metric system is based on kilograms, liters, centimeters, kilometers. So that's the difference. As an expat, so you're excited, you're moving to this foreign country, and you really don't give a lot of thought to the fact that now you're going to have to switch from the imperial system to the metric system, because that's how everything is calculated. It's quite interesting. It's a bit challenging. I had a doctor's appointment recently, and the doctor wanted to know my height. So I gave my height in inches. So I said, or feet in inches. So I said, I'm 5 feet, 3 inches. And so he looked a little confused and said, like, what's your height? And I'm 5 feet, 3 inches. So then his assistant asked, she says, dear, how tall are you? And so then I said, 5, 3. So the doctor said, oh, we don't need that. So then they went to weight. How much do you weigh? Now, I do have a scale here. So the scale is in kilograms. So I knew exactly how many kilograms I weighed. So I was able to give him that information. And I actually like kilograms better than pounds, because it just seems like a lot less. So I'm gonna stay with kilograms in the weight area. So anywho, so that's kind of the reason I wanted to have this conversation, because as an expat, you don't even think about, like, oh, I need to brush up on the metric system. But if you're moving to a foreign country, you really do, since only 3 countries use the imperial system. So in addition to kilograms, the other thing, so how do I get around this? What I do oftentimes is I'll have just a regular Post-it note, and I'll write information typically that I need on the Post-it note. When I first moved here, just sharing, like, with taxi drivers, my address. I would just write my address on a sheet of paper so that they could drop me at the correct location. But back to the metric system. So when you are talking about the weather, because that'll be the next conversation that you have. People like to talk about the weather. Every day they want to talk about the weather. So what I notice, because here in Portugal, everything is Celsius. So when you come from a country and it's Fahrenheit, and now it's, people are like, oh, it's 17 degrees Celsius or it's 20 degrees Celsius. And you're constantly having to Google, like, what is that? So a couple of things. So one workaround I found on my telephone, I actually changed the app so that it says the temperature, it displays the temperature in Fahrenheit as opposed to Celsius, so that I would have an accurate measure of what the temperature really was that day. Now, I do have two telephones, just to be transparent. And on my Portuguese telephone, I have it in Celsius. So the one I use Fahrenheit, and the other I use Celsius. So that helps me. Additionally, I did start with a cheat sheet. So the cheat sheet, I would list like Celsius and then Fahrenheit. And then that way, when someone said, oh, it's 20 degrees Celsius, then I would know it was 68 degrees outside. So that's how I was able to measure that. If they were like, oh, it's 30 degrees Celsius, then that's 86 degrees. So that's really hot. And it does get that hot here. But if they are like, oh, it's 25 degrees Celsius, then that's somewhere in the 70s. So that has helped me considerably when it comes to the time and the weather. And then, like I said, with having like height and weight measurements down, because pounds of course are kilograms, ounces are liters. If you're trying to drink your 64 fluid ounces of water, you're going to want to know how many liters of water do I need to drink a day so that I hit that delta. Additionally, distance is instead of miles, kilometers. So when people are talking, even the signs that are posted, the signage that's posted, it's in kilometers and not in miles. So there is an adjustment there as an expat. So you, again, like I said, you'll just want to brush up on it. Can you get around it? Yes. Like I said, you just, cheat sheets, ask questions, Google things ahead of time, just so you'll know like what the measurement is, be it time or distance, and even space. When I was in the process of renting my apartment, the ad said that it was 100 meters squared. And usually in the United States, we're used to like, oh, how many square feet is it? Whereas 100 meters squared. So I have to look up like how large is 100 meters squared. So it's roughly 1,000 square feet, just so you know. So all of those things, they're like little nuances, but you can work around them. Now, one thing I will tell you that I did in preparation to moving to Portugal, for some reason, I don't know why, I thought, oh, I don't want cooking to be so difficult. So I brought my measuring cups and spoons with me so that cooking would be easier. It's one thing like a cup, you just want to make sure when you're cooking something that you're using the correct measurement. I still have not baked anything here yet because, the stove is a little more challenging than I would like. So typically, I shouldn't say I haven't baked anything. So I will like bake fish in the oven, but those are things that you can put on a high temperature. So if you put a piece of fish in the oven and bake it, you can let that go for about 15 minutes and then it'll come out perfectly. So those types of things just from cooking, I know that you can do, but other things you just may want to, defer to Google or just try to find some other way to get the correct measurement of if it's temperature, distance, space, whatever. So I just thought that was interesting, and I think it's something that expats should consider when they're moving abroad, that they're going to use a different system. And like I said, most countries in the world are on the metric system, just the United States, Liberia, and Myanmar. So unless you're going to Liberia or Myanmar, you're probably going to be good to just go ahead and start brushing up on the metric system. Anywho, those are my musings for today. Please let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this video, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to this channel so that I can grow the channel, and that you would turn on notifications so that you're notified every Friday when I upload a new video, as well as share this video with other people because, again, like I said, it helps me grow the channel. Well, that's all for today. You have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Friday.